had such a blast chatting with Coach Chastain today. We gave nothing but rave reviews of when we were on campus for OGX. We went down there to do pitcher assessments and are working with their pitching staff this year. And all of our staff came back just glowing reviews about the feel of the team, the culture that she's built there, this feeling of the athletes really being their authentic selves. So I knew I had to get her on the podcast to chat about that. So we talked about sort of her journey to Charlotte, the growth of that program since she got there in 2019, and the support that she has of the department, putting resources into softball, which we know is crucial. And then just the way that she's sort of people first built that culture there, creating a safe space for those athletes. So lots of little nuggets here. I think you'll really enjoy it, and excited for you to listen. Welcome to the Bet On Me podcast, the ultimate resource for softball players looking to take control of their training and reach their full potential. I'm your host, Krista Stoker, and on this show, we'll be discussing everything from taking a holistic approach to your training to data-driven strategies for maximizing and growing yourself, not only on the field, but off. We believe that athletes should lead their own journey and push past any perceived ceilings on their talent. So join us as we explore the world of softball player development and help you bet on yourself. Because when you bet on yourself, you can't lose. All right, we are back for another episode, and I'm super excited about this one. Our team went out into Charlotte this year for assessments, and everyone had rave reviews. So I felt like it was super important to get Coach Chastain on the podcast because I had to see what the magic was all about. But Ashley, Laura, Paul, our marketing person, everyone was just super pumped and excited after that visit about what you guys have going on down there. So I'm excited to talk with it. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me on. I was really excited when you reached out and asked, and I could not be more excited about the partnership with OGX, and we were counting down the days until your team was on our campus and was able to work with us, and it just it was a wonderful day. It was really energizing for us on our side, on our staff side, and for our pitching staff. So it was wonderful, and we just really appreciate the partnership with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe if you want to just walk the listeners a little bit about how you ended up, maybe just a small snippet of how you ended up where you are, what your little background in maybe playing, coaching, whatever you feel like is relevant to that story.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I came to Charlotte in 2019, so this is our fifth team. It's weird, but I kind of equate time with teams.
Yeah.
So, in my brain, we've been here this is our fifth team, our fifth year at Charlotte. And, before I got here as a head coach, I had been an assistant in several conferences and, several institutions, all really wonderful experiences for me early in my career. And I knew I wanted to coach. And then when I got into coaching as a pitching coach and as an assistant, then I kind of got the itch to be a head coach. And that was just something that was, I think, really interesting to me. And so as I kind of started my career as a pitching coach and assistant coach, I worked for some really great people, Linda Califatis, Jackie Joseph. I was at Ole Miss as an assistant and their pitching coach before I came here to Charlotte. And so I had great experiences and a lot of people that really invested in me. And I felt like when I got the opportunity to be the head coach here at Charlotte, the stars just kind of aligned for me. It felt right when I came to visit the city and visit the institution and the campus. And I'm from the South, so I'm from the Atlanta area and had heard a lot about the city and kind of knew where it was. I went to school and I played at South Carolina. I played the majority of my career for Joyce Compton, who's a Hall of Fame coach. She retired in between my junior and my senior year. That was in 2010. And then they hired Bev Smith, who is still the head coach there. And her first season was my senior year. And, Bev really invested in me as a pitcher and a player right away. And then I stayed on staff and worked for her as a graduate assistant manager for my grad year. And I think at that point, I realized that I just didn't want to leave the game. And, there was an avenue for me as a pitching person to stay in the game. And I think the plan before that was high school history teacher. I got a secondary education master's degree from South Carolina, and then I have a bachelor's in social studies. I've just always loved history and reading and writing and all of that. So that was the original plan, and then that translated into coaching, and here we are, almost 12 years later. But the game just never left me, and I have I've loved my experience as a head coach here at Charlotte for the last 5 years. And that really is because of the people. And when I came here in 2019 and kind of just checked it out and really made the decision that this was where I was being called to be, it really was that in the beginning. It was the people that I met. It was the vision that they had, not only for our program, but for our entire department. And just to give you a little bit of background about that, just kind of where we started in 19 and where we are right now in 2023. So we got a new athletic director here in 2018, the year before I came. And Mike Hill, he was at Florida for 20 something years and had just obviously had known Tim's program and is really good friends with Tim Walton and had been kind of side by side him in building the softball program there at Florida. And so Mike is just a softball guy. He's an 80 that loves softball. He invests in softball. And so he painted a really clear picture to me of what he wanted this program to be like when I came on my interview in 2019. And so he surrounded me with really great people and really made me feel like he was going to support the program and help me build it into something that was nationally recognized, was winning, all the things that he had envisioned for the program. And, now we are 5 years later, and that commitment and that investment really could not have been more true. And he has been such a support system for me and our staff and our players and our program throughout the years as we've built this. And so that's kind of where it all started. And our first year was the COVID year. So, you get here into Charlotte and it's a wonderful place to live. And I think that's a part of what really attracts people here is that you are in a really big city. It's the fifth fastest growing city in the country. There's a lot to do. There's a little bit for everyone, which really helps us in recruiting. Players and families come here and they love what the city has to offer. And then our campus, we have the second largest campus and undergraduate student population in the state of North Carolina. So it's a big place. It's a big university. And I think that really kind of takes people back when they come to campus for the first time. It did me, I stepped foot here for the first time and I was like, wow, this place is great. Like it's big, it's really pretty. It's got a ton of resources. And I think that was a little bit of the feedback that Ashley and Laura gave when they were here in August. They were just like, wow, this is a big place. And so it just is kind of, it's been an accumulation of a lot of different things over the past couple of years. We rebranded our athletic department right after COVID, right after the shutdown. We launched a new brand, and that has really helped kind of modernize everything that we're doing. And then we also were entering in the American Athletic Conference, which was in the works for a few years with all of the conference realignment that's happened. And so we left Conference USA this past season. And now in 2024, this team that we're training right now will compete in the American Athletic Conference for the first time. And so we could not be more thrilled about that. The coaches and the teams and the programs that are in that conference are super high level. And, we're really excited to take that step as a whole department and also specifically as a softball program. So, it's been a really fun, really creative, really innovative last 5 years. I feel like no year has been the same. And, here we are in 2023 in the middle of fall ball with this fifth team and could not be more happy and just more excited to be where we're at.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was just thinking as you were talking that sometimes when we really connect with people, there's always something that I then don't know about their story, but I hear. And I think like not knowing you were going to go into coaching, but it kind of calling you is something that we really have across our whole staff at OGX. And then this idea, I'm almost like hearing vibes of Charlotte the past few years feeling like a little startup, like rebranding and all of these things. And I think that is really fun and interesting, and kind of where softball and women's sports is. So it really aligns with sort of the approach that lots of us have to take in that. I'm curious, as you were talking about that, obviously having sort of your department support is a huge part of success. But then, the past couple of years, especially, you've really put Charlotte on the map with some conference championships, with getting to the postseason. What are a few things that you think, outside of obviously this amazing department support that you have, that you attribute to sort of like laying out that vision for yourselves and maybe meeting some of the goals you had?
Yeah. I'm always people first. We are very, we're just relational as a program, and that's really with every entity of the program, whether it supports staff, coaching staff, players, community, donors, fans, families, parents. We're just relational based. And so I think it's really started just with the people that have walked through the door every year that has made it what it is right now. And, I have to mention a few names with those people, because there have been some people behind the scenes, just shoulder to shoulder with me, that have really made this program what it is. And I would argue even more than me, just so influential. Jody Davidson, first and foremost, he's been with me since day one. He was at Ole Miss in an operations role. He's a Mississippi boy, went to Ole Miss, and then stayed on as a director of ops with Ole Miss softball for 6 years, I believe. He was there as the ops, and also was a manager before that. And when I took this job in the summer of 2019, we were coming off of a super regional run in Tucson against Arizona that we lost to them, and had come back to Oxford. And so this process had started for me of, just trying to figure out if this was a step I wanted to take. And, I just instantly started thinking about, okay, people, and who do I trust, and, who's going to really be as loyal to me, and somebody that I could really put my success into. And so Jody had wanted to get into coaching forever. And so, and he's grown in our program. He started as our volunteer coach. And then he's grown, and he's now our recruiting coordinator 5 years later, and just has significant influence in the program every single day. You see him at every tournament possible. He's just such a recruiter, and also just internally, he's just had such great connection and great development with all of our players that have come and walked through the door the last 5 teams. We've had great assistants other than Jody. Taylor White was with us for several years. She's a dear friend of mine, and she's now with Duke. She left us and went to Duke this past summer, but I owe her a lot of our success over the last few years. She's like I said, a dear friend of mine, and just really helped us build this thing, the foundation of what Charlotte softball was going to be. And then now, Katie Browder, who was at Ole Miss. We had coached together previously for several years at Ole Miss. And Katie had gone on and moved on to coach at Minnesota, and then had come back with Jamie Traxel at Ole Miss. And Katie is also a really dear friend of mine, and just somebody that just I do life with. I mean, she's one of my best friends. And, when you get to work with your best friends, it's like so special. And so when we needed a new coach this summer, I called her, and, I couldn't be more excited about what she's doing. She's been here with us now for 3 months, and she's already changed our program in so many positive ways. And our team and our kids love her and everything that she brings to the table. She's a competitor, and she's a developer, and she's a life learner. And I just couldn't speak more highly about her and the influence that she's going to have in our program moving forward. So it's really the people that I've been around, and other than that, it's been the players. I mean, we started recruiting some transfers during the COVID shutdown. So when I walked in the door, with the team that was here in the summer of 2019, that roster, I mean, I couldn't be more grateful and thankful for those players who just kind of opened their arms to me and Jody and our staff at the time. and just kind of bought into it. Was a lot of change. I mean, just kind of like needed to revamp and re-energize every aspect of the program. And they just kind of 2 feet in, and it started with that group, and it's just rolled over every year to the next group. And we hit the transfer portal really hard. We saw that as a way that we could bring some people on that had great experience other places, and just wanted, they had great playing experience other places and wanted a different experience, with the staff, or a different experience in the locker room, or different experience with the team, whatever it was. Everyone's story is so different, as you know. Mm-hmm. And so we brought in, just a lot of transfers: Courtney Grimion, Stacy Payton, Nicole Bowman, kind of that first generation of transfers, to now, Sam Gress. We had Cass Krupit, Lexi Wagner, all those players. I'm just so grateful for everything that they did for our program. They breathed life and belief and hope into our vision, and really just ran with it and executed it so beautifully. And then we had a core group of players that were here when I walked through the door that have just stayed with us this entire time. Corey Hoffler, who's a 5th year with us. She's our second baseman. I've never been around a player that leads better than she does. And she just transforms anyone that she's around and empowers them. And then Bailey Vinoy was our All-American in 2022, the best player to ever play here. She was here when I walked through the door, and she just bought into everything that we were doing. So it's just the people. It's been the players and the staff and the administration. And, Charlotte it's a great place. It's got great facilities, and we've upgraded the facilities with the support of the administration since I've been here. And then the city, it's a city that our players really enjoy living, and just being normal people outside of softball players, which we think is really important. And, we put a lot of value into that. So long answer to a short, answer that it's just been the people that, have been alongside me.
Yeah. I think to that point, one of the things that everyone said when they left campus was this feeling of the athletes and the coaches being super authentic, which sometimes in college sports is hard. Mm-hmm. You need this structure, and there are parts of it that sort of are transactional. You're asking them to help you win and to keep your job. Mm-hmm. And there are things that by nature become a little more transactional than maybe in their youth game or things like that. But our staff, their reflection was just how authentic a lot of the relationships felt, and the athletes sort of being their true selves, and that feeling, which for us feels very like home, because we're very big on that with our staff and the athletes that we work with. But what do you think? I think you spoke to a little bit of these themes in your answer, but what would you attribute to your athletes sort of feeling like that in the space and in your program?
Yeah, I think to our core, we believe that we want our players to walk in to the door every day. So walk into the facility and just love being here. Because if this is a space that they can't wait to get to, that they spend a lot of time, that they love being around the people in the locker room, in the training facility, on the field, in the dugout, it brings out the best in everyone. We believe happy people they perform better. People want to be around you it doesn't mean every day is, perfect. But, in general, their overall happiness really matters to us. And I think you build that by creating an environment that they feel first and foremost psychologically safe. So when they walk in our door, they feel like they can be themselves. They feel like they have a voice. They feel like they can ask questions. My greatest fear is that people are uncomfortable in our program. They feel like they have to walk around on eggshells, or, they don't feel like they can be themselves, because I don't think that's where you start to see really true success, or you don't really see someone thrive and grow. You see the opposite effect. You see someone that degresses in their development, or, just their overall person, in their career here. So I think we try to create that environment to where, it's psychologically safe for them to speak up. They have a voice. We're in conversation all the time. We start practice every day in conversation. We end practice every day in conversation, and we're just evaluating everything we do all the time. And the players have a big say in that. So, if I am constantly just talking at them, and I don't ever know what they think or don't ever know their perspective on anything, it's just going to be really hard for them to feel like they have a voice and that they, that they can really truly buy into what we're doing. So that's where it comes from. I think first and foremost for us is that we just create an environment to where they feel safe and they feel like they can be themselves and they don't walk around on eggshells. And, that breeds confidence. And that's a process. I mean, we have, we're in the middle of fall ball right now. And so we have a group of freshmen and, rookies that came into the program that, they have to feel that. They have to feel safe and that they can have a voice and that they can speak and that they can be really comfortable here to gain confidence and to gain trust into me and into our coaching staff and into our program and to the players that have already been here. And when they feel that trust and they feel that love, then they start to be really vulnerable, and then they start to open up and they start to, give you information about themselves, and you start to kind of put together their story, and that was something that when I was around Ashley, I just so connected with her on everyone has a story. Everyone comes from somewhere. Their development process has been different. Everyone has their own unique story. And so when she started talking about that from a pitching standpoint, I just really connected with that. And I just said, that's so true. And, so we just embrace that. And, we try to get to know everyone's story and connect the dots, and really make the group a group because, outside of the skills of the game, they're really talented and, they can throw and catch and pitch and hit. We can do all of those things and we work on all of those things every day and we take those things super serious. But if the group isn't a group and they don't have that love, trust, and respect for each other or for our coaching staff and, they just aren't comfortable, that your ceiling is so much lower and it isn't a great experience for them. And, and so that's just really important to me is that they get better in their time here. They develop not only as a player, but as a person. They grow up, they learn how to communicate. They take that next step in life and they use our program as an avenue and a vehicle to really excel in a period of their life where everything about their world changes, over the time when they leave home, they go to school and then they start, the workforce or the next step chapter in life, it's such a transformational time. So, we just really try to create a space that they can do that.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's showing based on the experience. Okay, last question. I asked this of all the college coaches. So if you were giving advice to a recruit, someone who is sort of considering a school or on their visit, to ask one question of that school, so they were going to ask one, what do you think the most impactful question or sort of insight that they should seek out on their recruiting experience?
Yeah. I think the most important thing a recruit and their family can do on a visit is to ask the players what happens when adversity hits. Because that answer is going to really tell you a lot about what it's like day to day, what it's like in the dugout, what it's like on the field. Because I think that's sometimes where the breakdown happens is when things get tough, when adversity happens, does the environment change? Because a recruiting visit, it's a lot of non-adversity, it's a lot of planning and logistics and perfect meals and, experiences with the recruit and the family and tours. And, you want them to leave with as much information as possible and to feel really good. We here at Charlotte, we allow our recruits and their families to spend a lot of time with our team and our players in settings where they can ask them a lot of questions because they're gonna be the most truthful with, hey, when things, when things get tough, when adversity hits, what is the environment like? What are the coaches like? What are the other players on the team like? Is it segmented within the team? Are there groups, or is everyone together? And so I think that that's really important, is to ask the players, what happens through adversity. Sometimes I think you might not get that luxury of asking that question. It's depending upon the program and the staff and how they handle their recruiting visits. But if you do get the opportunity to be around the players, I would ask the players some tough questions, because you can just tell so much about their experience through their responses. And just know that you're going to have that same experience. Whatever experience the player is having that you're talking to, you're going to have that same experience. And so you can just get a lot of information about that. And the other advice that I like to give recruits and their families, I give this advice sometimes at camp. I know this is tough sometimes logistically in certain parts of the year, but if you're really interested in a program and they're recruiting you, I urge families and players to go watch them play, because, the game exposes so much. You see the coaches in a very organic, authentic way coaching their players. In the game, no game is ever the same. And, the game presents a lot of, just exposure to, what are things like during the game? What's the dugout like? What do the players act like in the dugout? What do they act like on the field? How do they carry themselves? So if you're in an opportunity to see a program play and compete, that you're interested in being a part of their program, I would urge families and parents to do that, because, there's no greater test to the program than that setting. And you're going to get a really organic view of it. So that's what I would advise.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate it. I think lots of good insights. We're so excited about the partnership and to follow you guys this year. And thank you for the chat.
Thank you so much. Again, we are over the moon thrilled, excited about the partnership. And, I just wish you guys nothing but the best. And we're excited to move forward.
Thanks again for listening today. Great chat with Coach Chastain. If you could follow us, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Spotify, wherever you listen to us. It helps get the word out about this Bet On Me podcast. And otherwise, until next time.